Привет всем, вы на кунаре, ёбам, хлопопок, жопроб, хлоп, хлоп, бля, я забыл, что меня ждет эта ёбань, блядь, я просто ёбань. Давай походим, ну, хоть бы повезло сегодня, блядь, разгадать это говно, блядь, дальше, чтобы работать в этой игре. Бля, засунуто интеллектуала, блядь, который... Хуйню эту сделать, доска эта вонючая, бля, помогите, кот, блядь, яйца есть, нахуй. Давай посмотрим, что здесь. Так, да, прощёлка, да, бля. Бля, чё? Чего? Да подожди, ебланка, блядь. Пробел не работает, что ты глюканула игра, блядь. Она глюканула, представляешь, блядь? Что я понял? Опять Ratchet, блядь, так, в третья хуйня. И здесь опять этот уебан, так это что, распознавание листа, какая-то хуйня. Четвертая этот уебан. Что-то игра приглючила, когда я начал в нее играть сегодня, блядь. Только загрузил так. Это я знаю, блядь. Так что здесь. Вот здесь что-то нужно, блядь. Ну что, будем тыкать, блядь, кули делать? Кули делать, блядь. Что тыкать, хуй его знает? Опять эта ебаная система, блядь. Так, давай. Как это работает, я забыл, блядь. Бля, хуй его знает, как это работает, блядь. А во. Как, блядь, подсказка. Че, ну давай ебанем туда. Бля, как она работает. Корж, блядь. Можно приблизить эту ебань, блядь. Так вот, подсказка, блядь. Подожди, блядь. А вот подсказка. Давай, блядь. Нихуя не подсказывает, блядь. Вот этого урода надо куда-то прикрепить, блядь. Бля, куда его прикрепить-то, блядь? Сюда, что ли? Нихуя, блядь. Ой, бля, ужасно. Вот подсказка, видишь, вот это, вот эта хуйня, вот она. Что-то игра глюканула, блядь. Бля, подсказки, видимо, здесь неправильные, блядь. Бля, как здесь все плохо работает, пиздец, блядь. Как мне это все разгадать, блядь, тут столько всякой хуйни, блядь. Ну, бля, пожалуйста, ну что-то сделайся, блядь. Почему зеленая линия, хуй его знает? Бля, уроды, сука, со своими подсказками заебали. Говно ваши подсказки. Теперь вот, блядь, подсказка. Ну, подсказка. А, другая, блядь.
Goodbye, Michael Clark.
Ёбаный в рот.
Hello, Samuel Ratchet, the man who stole your identity and your life.
Бля, что там такое?
Damn, Ratchet is taking the... McQueen, the district attorney's son, is too. Foscarelli, the Armstrong chauffeur, is too. It can't be a coincidence. McQueen and Foscarelli must have decided to take revenge and will undoubtedly attack Ratchet on this train. I have to be on the Orient Express to stop them. And above all, I must stop Ratchet. But I can't do it in Istanbul because there's no extradition treaty with the United States. Ratchet can never be judged in the US without an extradition treaty. I'll have to wait until he's in Paris to have him arrested.
Бля, фу, я хотел, знаешь, как делать? Бля, все, я хотел, знаешь, как делать? Я просто хотел сказать привет всем, нахуй, и потом просто тыкать, пока не разгадаешь, что тебе, блядь, надо. А по-любому там что-то есть, блядь. Что там такое, не? Фу, бля, все!
It's impossible to find a ticket. What can I do?
Что, блядь? Че? Прибегну к мошенничеству, блядь. Бля, почему я должен куда-то прибегать, блядь? Да не хочу, я не мошенник, ты же детектив, блядь. У тебя эти мысли вообще отпадать должны, ты праведник, блядь.
Let's find out who's traveling on the Orient Express. Time to call Braid.
Блядь. На какое-то мошенничество его. Эти в жопу, блядь. Кот подметает стол, блядь, смотри. Дворник, блядь.
It's me again.
I haven't found anything useful yet.
I need one last favor. But it's a big one.
Uh-oh.
Can you find me the list of passengers of the Orient Express for that anniversary trip?
Hold on.
Бля.
Jeez, their IT is surprisingly good. Maybe because of the big event. I found the list, but they sealed my back door as I was starting to capture it.
Oh no.
Whoa, calm down. I got one name. Female. The name I got before they kicked me off the server was Stacy Johnson. Do you feel like a Stacy Johnson?
The question is, how is she going to feel about helping me?
That's one you'll have to figure out for yourself. I gotta go back to weaving my magic on the web.
Фу, ёб твою мать, жесть. Кот, блядь. Скотина, нахуй. Бля, что тут еще? Подожди, нахуй. Во, что-то есть, смотри. Что-то появилось. Да, блядь, да не то, блядь. Вот что-то появилось. Во, бля. Так, имя Стейси Джонсон, нахуй. Так, что ты вообще молодая, блядь. Что делаем, нахуй? Стейси, блядь. Бля, громко, ебаный телефон, блядь.
Is this Stacy Johnson?
Who's asking?
А кто спрашивает, блядь? Правду, блядь.
My name is Joanna Locke. I'm a police detective.
And I'm just an actress. Now what did I do wrong?
Nothing. I need your help. I need to take your place in the Orient Express.
Is this a joke? No way.
Do you remember the Armstrong kidnapping?
Of course I do. That poor little girl.
I'm a police officer. I have a new lead that may help me find her killer.
Wait, didn't they prove it was the nanny?
Чё, блядь? Мини, блядь.
I have found compelling new evidence. I've reopened my investigation.
You know, I had my doubts about the murderous nanny. I played a nanny a couple years ago in a slasher. I was killed in the first episode, but it got me interested in helping kids.
Ты ебаная манда, блядь. Что тебе не так все, нахуй?
Stacy, please. You say you help kids?
Well, I joined a couple of associations who are trying to help underprivileged kids. If this little girl's real killer is still out there somewhere, I'd do anything I could to help.
Getting me on that train will help more than you can imagine.
So, you want my ticket for the Orient Express? But I booked it months ago. I was so much looking forward to this trip.
Stacy, I can tell you care about kids. Here's your chance to help put this beast in prison for the rest of his life. Think of the publicity for those causes you care about. Think about the kids.
The kids. Yeah. All right. We'll do it for Daisy and the kids who suffer. I'll take care of changing the tickets to your name and send it to you. Get him. Make him pay.
I will. Thank you so much.
Что там, блядь?
Stacy was as good as her word. I received the ticket. I called my chief to let him know I was taking my vacation time. I had coming. I flew to Istanbul. I was finally going to nail the monster responsible for Daisy Armstrong's death, Michael Clark's death, even his accomplice, and, I suspected, so many others as well. You know the rest.
Его уебан, блядь. Ой, бля. Агата Кристи входит в книгу рекордов Гиннесса как самый продаваемый автор. Блять. Восточный экспресс. Бля, сидят, ёбаный в рот, бля, дураки, нахуй. Я бы сам пошел разгребать, блядь. Я уже говорил об этом, бля.
And that's how I found myself on this train. On Ratchet's trail. The rest, you know. My identity is easily checked with the Berkshire police.
Thank you for your detailed account, Mademoiselle Locke. In addition to giving us crucial details of the investigation, you have made it clear that there are many who might wish to see Ratchet dead.
Чё? Мисс Док один из подозреваемых, или она невиновна? Одна, бля, я ебу, кто там? Кто такой Док, блядь? Я ебу, бля, я не помню, блядь. Док. Кто такой Док, блядь?
I know you are innocent. Your forthright testimony and your movements, or lack of them, last night eliminate you from our list of suspects.
I agree, without a doubt. Another detective will be great help to the investigation.
Book.
Although my friend certainly does not need any help.
You are too kind.
Thank you for believing me. I'd like to help in any way I can.
Do not worry, Mademoiselle Locke. Already I see things more clearly. It's obvious whoever drugged you was trying to derail your investigation.
You mean the person who did this to me is Ratchet's killer?
Both Monsieur Michel and Fraulein Schmidt had the means and opportunity to drug you. While you get your strength back, I intend to interview them.
Excellent idea, my friend. All this excitement has whetted my appetite. I'm sure Mademoiselle Locke won't say no to a good, invigorating meal.
What? No. I want to hear what the conductor and Fräulein Schmidt have to say for themselves.
It is my duty to ensure the well-being of the passengers. If Dr. Constantine has no objection, I will escort you to the restaurant car.
On the contrary, some food will do her the greatest good.
Well, I'm still a little shaky. Mr. Poirot, will you please keep me informed about what you learn?
You may be certain of it.
Понятно. Она пошла жрать, а я пойду, блядь. А я пойду узнавать, нахуй. Штыру, дизик, уняла. Это пока новая цепочка. Так, с уебаном надо... Фу, ёпту, разгадал эту ебаную доску, блядь. Это просто жесть, а не доска, блядь. Доска убийца, блядь. Да все, я понимаю. Где уроды? Это мое КБРД. Выпусти. Фу, жесть, нихуя себе, блядь. Не, я эту игру заканчивать не хотел. Блядь, что это такое?
I have nothing to ask them at the moment. I should leave them alone.
Нехорошо. Общайтесь, дамы, блядь, общайтесь, что здесь? Там это, блядь, герцогиня, блядь. Такая охуевшая, с еблом таким, блядь, вообще жесть. Неужели такие герцоги? А, ей же 80 лет, блядь.
Good evening, Fräulein Schmidt. May I disturb you for a moment?
You asked so politely, mein Herr, but I do not think I have a choice.
Мисс Баку проснулась, мисс Лок проснулась. Не подмешали снотворное. Вы подмешали, блядь. Хуй, давай пока, блядь, не будем ее убивать, нахуй, с повалу. С правого удара.
I wanted to let you know that your roommate, Mademoiselle Locke, is awake.
Ah, yes, I'm glad to hear that. I was worried about her. Did she tell you what had happened to her?
Мисс Люка видела, как вы... Она не видела.
Unfortunately, she doesn't remember much, but we found a residue of a sleeping pill in her cup of tea. Since you two were alone together in your room when she drank it, who else but you could have drugged her?
Must I point out I do not make the tea on this train? You should question the conductor or the kitchen staff.
Так как заставить вас, как Шмидт, признаться?
Mademoiselle Locke could have died. Whoever drugged her must not feel any empathy for their fellow human beings, given the dose that Mademoiselle Locke ingested. She was close to death.
Oh my God. What did I do? I didn't want to hurt her. Just have her sleep for a few hours while we had time.
We? Time for what? Time for what, Madame Schmidt?
You think I feel nothing? Nothing? That poor, poor little girl.
Indeed, that poor, poor little girl. Fräulein Schmidt is somehow connected to the Armstrong case.
Колись, бля! Как мисс Шмидт может быть связана с, блядь, с Армстронгами? А я не помню, бля. Новая... Чё? Повар у княгини? Бля, я не помню кто-то. Я не помню, кто-то повар у Армстронгов. Я не помню повар у Армстронгов. Компаньонка... Бля, кто ты, ёб твою мать? Какой ты повар, блядь? Ну, компаньонка, блядь.
Must admit I'm not right this time.
Повар, бля! Ух ты, ёб твою мать!
That's the right answer. Fräulein Schmidt, I have a certain reputation for sniffing out...
I am not a murderer.
Forgive me, but I was going to say brilliant chefs. You were the Armstrong family's cook, were you not?
Yes. I was the cook of that lovely, lovely family. I'm sorry, but I must ask you to give me some time to
Ну, побудь, блядь.
collect myself.
Поменяй
It wasn't
прокладку,
supposed to be like
блядь.
this. My darling, my poor darling child.
I will give you that time, Fräulein. You have given me much more in exchange. I must check in with my other suspects to make certain I have all the pieces of the puzzle in my possession.
Пойдем, договорись с другим, блядь. Что это за хуйня, блядь? Че, блядь, не могу никак расследовать эту ёбань. Уже все известно, блядь. Все взаимосвязано. Здорово некую, блядь.
Can I get you something, Monsieur Poirot? Everyone is so tense.
Вы так напряжены, блядь. Я могу сбросить твое напряжение, блядь. Пошел нахуй, ты мне не нужен. Так ты не виноват, что там ты нахуй. А ну давай окно, что там за окно, блядь. Бля, не так. Хоть жрачка есть, нахуй, жесть. Это жопа, блядь. Да ты что, ёбнулся, блядь? Уже должны были приехать и все разгребсти. Это же, блядь, трасса железнодорожная, можно так выразиться. Здесь поезда ходят, блядь, один за другим. Не, ёбань какая-то. Пускай, блядь. Что-то Агата Кристи какую-то хуйню написала.
You're right, Mr. Book. This dessert is delicious. I'm glad we didn't wait for dinner.
I promise the entrée will be superb as well.
Detective Locke, you are recovering well, I see.
Yes, I should be helping with the investigation. Do you know who drugged me?
It is early yet for conclusions. When I return, then we shall see.
Do not worry, Poirot. She is in good hands. Hotaru, Freya, and yours truly are looking after her.
Ну все, иди нахуй, смотри за ней, смотри, корми ее, блядь. Может быть, она от тебя родит кого-нибудь когда-нибудь. Не, может, полюбит, блядь, так что ты нахуй ебан, блядь. Ну что ты там рыбу куяришь? Кимоно, блядь.
Not now. Not now. I have a dinner to prepare. Would you interrupt Michelangelo or Da Vinci?
Да что ты так много бздишь-то нахуй? В сортире ничего опять. Я уже ушел, там бздишь, блядь. Пойдем дальше говорить. Идем, бля. Клубок распутывается, скоты, нахуй. О, бля. Ух ты, уебан, бля. Ну что там, бля?
Good evening, Michel. Am I bothering you? You seem stressed.
With everything that's going on, I must admit it's difficult to be relaxed.
Of course, I understand. Especially since we know that Detective Locke's tea was drugged before it was served to her.
Detective?
Come now, Michel. Surely you would have taken the opportunity to search her things and found her badge. Luckily, she woke up and was finally able to tell us her story.
Otaru boiled the water, Jean made the tea. I just brought it. Sir, it could have been any of the staff.
Your defense is to accuse others?
День рождения, блядь.
You have a network connection?
No, unfortunately. It's just an automatic reminder to pay my rent. I always forget, and my landlord complains.
Pierre Michel had to be involved in the murder. The drugged tea, his post at the end of the hall, and now I know why I know more than one of those people on the screen.
Что там, бля? Бля, я ебу, кто там изображен, бля. Хуя, с первого раза, блядь. Пьер Мишель. Что такое, блядь? Ёб твою мать. А я не помню, кто там кто, блядь. В центре Грета, блядь. Ёб твою мать. А, Моро, блядь. Моро, нахуй.
Fantastic.
Рожа уродливая, помню, блядь. Кто... Ты не сам Рус, блядь. А, сам Рус, блядь. Сайрус, блядь, нихуя
That was easy. You are the father of Suzanne Moreau, Daisy Armstrong's nanny. My condolences on the death of your wife.
What? But my wife...
Enough lies. Suzanne does not bear your name?
No. Suzanne's mother and I were divorced. Suzanne kept her mother's name.
My most sincere condolences, Monsieur Michel, on the deaths of Suzanne and your wife.
This job, I loved them, but I was never there for them. Then, a year after the divorce, Solange became ill. Suzanne took her to this special hospital in the US. Got that job as Daisy's nanny.
I understand your pain, and the reason that led you to drug Detective Locke.
We really can't hide anything from you, can we?
Many have been foolish enough to try and keep the truth from Hercule Poirot.
Yes, I admit, I drugged the tea. But it was only to keep her quiet, until I could... But she reacted so much to the sleeping pills.
She was lucky, as are you, that she didn't die. To be frank, there is one more thing that puzzled me, but I think I understand now.
Мистер Хадман, любовник месье Мишель, бля. Мистер Харман должен был стать зятем мест. Бля, похуй. Не знаю, ну пока.
You have a certain fondness for Monsieur Hardman, no?
Cyrus is a good friend, and I appreciate him a lot, but it's not that. Cyrus was my daughter's fiancé. I almost consider Cyrus as my own son.
Of course, much more is clear now. I have been patient long enough. It is time to go and see what all the commotion is next door.
Давай, что там стучит, блядь? Ах ты уебан, блядь.
Monsieur Hardman, excellent. The gods who watch over detectives must have trapped you here.
Why didn't they watch over me? I'm a detective too. I was talking to Michelle about a leaky faucet, and I wanted to go out, but you showed up.
No need to invent some preposterous story.
But really,
Michel has told me everything. You are the fiancé of Suzanne Moreau, his daughter.
Oh. I see.
Surely this is not a big surprise to you.
No. Suzanne was the only woman I ever loved. And I failed her. We got into a spat. It was nothing, but I was too proud to apologize. We weren't speaking at all. Suzanne never really cared for that guy Noah. She would have forgiven me. If only... If only...
If only. A common refrain between lovers who quarrel. Obviously, Pierre Michel and Fräulein Schmidt both drugged Detective Locke's tea, causing the overdose. No wonder she had so much trouble waking up. Time to report my findings to her and Book.
Пойдем нахуй отсюда. Бля, где выйти нахуй? Что это такое? Что-то можно посмотреть, блядь.
I wonder if our master chef gets his recipes from a game.
Иди нахуй, блядь. Что это за дерьмо? Усы. Усы забирай.
Another delightful trophy for my collection.
Пойдем тетке все рассказывать, блядь. Тетя, я иду, блядь. Ты поела, блядь? Ты сейчас будешь слушать правду. Не на голодный желудок. Так что смотри, блядь. Тебя может пронести, блядь.
So, my friend, tell me, you have something new?
Mademoiselle Locke, I know who drugged you. Fräulein Schmidt and our conductor, Pierre Michel, both admitted putting sleeping pills into your tea. This explains your overdose. They are relieved you are recovering.
Michel drugged a passenger? On behalf of the company, I offer my apologies to you, Mademoiselle Locke. Michel will answer for this outrage.
Both of them? I was pretty sure about Fräulein Schmidt, but I admit that I did not suspect the conductor.
I have uncovered multiple connections with the Armstrong case. Pierre Michel is the father of Suzanne Moreau, little Daisy's nanny, and Monsieur Hardman was Suzanne's fiancé. As for Hildegard Schmidt, she was the cook of the Armstrong family. What a coincidence, don't you think?
But it's incredible! What are the odds that so many people linked to that tragic affair ended up on the same train?
About the same as you winning the lottery, my friend.
I wasn't the officer who interviewed Fräulein Schmidt back then, so she couldn't recognize me here on the train. How could they know who I was?
There were other passengers who might have. Or she may have seen you when you visited the Armstrong home. It is now clear to me that some of the clues to this elaborate plot were staged for my benefit.
Шо тут, блядь? В чем меня пытаются убедить? Убийца... Убийца сел на поезд. Убирачатый сразу же покинул поезд. Нихуя, убийца здесь, наверное, блять, а может покинул, кто его знает. Убийца сел на поезд. Так, убил Рэтчета и до сих пор находится в поезде, блядь. Убийца сел на поезд в Стамбуле, убил Рэтчета. Бля, нихуя Да подожди ты, блядь! Варианты выбирайтесь! Вот сюда, блядь, переместите. Бля, первый урод, блядь! Пиздец, как назло, третий, блядь! Вот именно третий, блядь, а! Сучара, блядь.
The murderer boarded the train in Vinkovsky, killed Ratchet, and then left the train immediately.
How did you come to that possibility?
Monsieur Hardman told me about a short man with a high-pitched voice who threatened Ratchet. Imagine for a moment that this man, wearing a wagon-lit conductor's jacket, killed him while Michel was on the platform at Vinkovsky. This murderer then hid the conductor's jacket in Detective Locke's room then fled before the train left.
Why choose Detective Locke's room?
Why, indeed. Let me re-explain from the beginning.
Что там, блядь? Ёб твою мать. Воссоздайте последовательность событий. И что, все воссоздавать, что ли, блядь? В ложной версии убийца пробирается на поезд, замаскировавшись под проводника, блядь. Угу. Что это за хуйня? Это что? Бля, хуй его знает. Сюда так. Блять, это что такое? Там он оставляет нож. Где? Там он, блять, оставляет. Давай пока все так вот сюда ебану. Это что, блять, убийца подбирается на поезд, замаскировавшись под проводника. Это что, убийца сходит с поезда? Я думаю, что здесь, наверное, блять. И это что? Пьер Мишель возвращается с поезда. Ну, давай так, блядь.
I do not think that's the right answer.
Так, это что такое? В полночь поезд останавливается на станции. Месье Мишель выходит на платформу. Наверное, вот так. Это что за хуйня? Это что за хуйня? Наверное, это что за поебень? Вот так вот, наверное. Наверное, вот так вот, блядь. Вот. Подожди. Раз, два, три, вот, блядь, как-то так его знает.
No, not good.
Убийца пробирается на поезд. Хуй его знает, да вот так вот, блядь.
Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer.
А, это в полночь поезд останавливается. Хуй его знает, блядь. Может так, блядь.
I must admit I'm not right this time.
Там он оставляет нож. Воссоздайте последовательность событий в ложной версии, блядь. В ложной, блядь, заебали, непонятно, что они там говорят. Подожди, он убивает же, блядь, вот так вот, наверное.
This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth.
Подожди, этот уебок ушел, да, получается? В полночь останавливается. Ой, этот уебан вышел.
I must admit I'm not right this time.
Блять, нет. Вот так вот, наверное. Этот урод выходит, он убивает, потом нож оставляет и вот так вот. Бля, нихуя жесть. Бля, ёбан, чё так много пунктов? Хотя бы 3 бы сделали для меня, дурака. Полночь поезд останавливается. Нет, вот так вот, наверное.
This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth.
Да я не понимаю, что здесь неправильно. Вот, поезд остановился, урод вышел. Блять, может так, ну.
Think, Poirot, that is not a good answer.
В полночь поезд остановился. Пьер Мишель... А, возвращается, блядь. Виковцы, блядь, жесть. Так, в полночь поезд остановился на станции. Так, это что за... Что-то я не понимаю никакой, я что за ебань. Пьер Мишель возвращается в поезд, который останавливается, отправляется со станции. В полночь поезд останавливается, так. Может вот так вот? Нет. Поезд остановился, потом этот урод... Поезд остановился, блять, наверное, вот так вот.
No, not good.
Блин, что тут неправильно? В полночь, подожди. Пробирается, потом этот уебан убивает.
I must admit I'm not right this time.
В полночь поезд останавливается. Убийца пробирается на поезд, замаскировавшись под проводника. Потом, бля, убивает Рэтчета. Там же оставляет нож. Этот урод выходит. Так вот, блядь. Да ебаный в рот.
I'm never far from the truth.
Бля, может так надо? Вот так вот. О, бля. Он в конце вернулся, после убийства. Понял, в конце, после убийства вернулся.
Oui, that must be it. Everything fits so well.
It fits too well, my friend. Other clues lead to a second hypothesis, much more plausible.
Что там, бля? Какая версия наиболее невероятная, блядь? Убийца несколько... убийц несколько. И все они сошли... Подожди, там про убийцу говорилось. Убийц несколько. И все они сошли... все они хотели погубить Рэтчета. Убийц несколько. И все они связаны с делом Рэтчета. Блять, кто его знает вот это. С первого раза, блядь. Попал в дырку первый раз, блядь. Сразу,
We
блядь.
have multiple murderers, all related to the Armstrong case. The murderer from Vinkovsky was a fabrication to turn suspicion away from those on the train. They expected the investigation to be led by some small-town official who could easily be misled.
Mr. Poirot?
Detective Locke, forgive me. You are an obvious exception. You tracked Ratchet with the tenacity of a bloodhound. Unfortunately for the killers, they not only had you to deal with, but now they had, and I say this with all modesty, the world's greatest detective, Hercule Poirot, dropped into the midst of their meticulous planning.
Multiple murderers? Multiple detectives? Poirot, please take pity on me. Who is linked to this case and who is not?
My poor friend, I have gone speeding out of the station without you. I will continue.
Чё продолжим, блядь? Ёб твою мать. Кто сделан связан... Бля, сколько уродов надо выбрать? 9, что ли, блядь? Так, блядь. Вот этот урод по-любому, блядь. Вот это. Вот этот, ёб твою мать. Вот эта хуйня. Блядь, ты нахуй не связан. Вот этот урод, по-моему, Сайрус. Бля, я не помню, Люк тоже, наверное, связан. Вот это что за уебан? Я не помню, кто это за упырь, этот не связан. Вот это пускай будет. Бля, пускай этот будет, кто его знает.
I do not think that's the right answer.
Что это было? Чего, блядь? Сколько угадал сразу? 7 штук сразу угадал. Бля. Что за уебанище там связано еще? Ты не связан, блядь. Вот это что за рожа, блядь. Я не помню, что это тупой связан, не связан, блядь. Ну, блядь, пускай вот этот будет, вот этот.
No.
Нихуя, блядь. Ну ты, блядь.
This is wrong. But
Ну и ты,
I
блядь.
never
Ну давай,
thought
блядь,
that-
говори быстрее, кореш, да, я понимаю.
I do not think that's the right answer.
Этого урода, и вот этого не урода выбрал.
I must admit
Блядь.
I'm not right this time.
Ты что ли, твою мать?
Think, Poirot. That
Бля,
is
кто
not a
тут?
good answer.
А Болтус, кто тут еще, блядь? Ты что ли, нахуй?
This is wrong. But I'm never far from the truth.
Не помню, кто, блядь. Чё это уебан?
My little gray cells did not let me down.
Мои серые клеточки, блядь.
Pierre Michel, Monsieur Hardman, and Monsieur McQueen are all linked to the Armstrong case. I also know that Sonia Armstrong's sister and godmother, Countess Andreni and Princess Dragomirov, are on this train. And finally, Detective Locke discovered that Mr. Foscarelli was the Armstrong chauffeur.
If we add Detective Luck and Ratchet, of the 12 passengers in that coach, 9 have a connection with the Armstrong case. What next, Poirot? Or should I say, who next?
It is time to summon everyone.
Everyone? Even Dr. Constantine? The train crew other than Michel?
Dr. Constantine, yes. I will need him. But we don't want the others as witnesses.
I will see that their duties keep them occupied elsewhere.
Excellent. I have always thought this moment in a case is much like Rodin unveiling the thinker before a captivated audience. A work of art. Have you not felt that way, Detective?
No, Mr. Poirot. I'm happy just to slap the cuffs on him.
Well, there is some artistry in that as well, I suppose.
Where would you like the unveiling, Poirot? The lounge?
Perfect.
Then I will gather all the passengers in the lounge.
Собирай, блядь, ланш, нахуй. Ланш, куянш, блядь. Жизнь, блядь, пробка такая, блядь, охуеешь, нахуй. Ну шо там, блядь? Чё там, блядь? Сейчас будет презентация, сейчас Пуаро будет толкать речь. И оратор! А это что, не вагон-ресторан, блядь? А это что, блядь? Бля, мне надо готовить, я нихуя не могу, блядь. Оставьте меня в покое, блядь. Я готовлю суп, блядь. А где вагон-ресторан, блядь? Чё это такое? Это багажное отделение, иди нахуй. А я где был, блядь? А я где был, нахуй? Усы! Хочу найти усы, блядь, приклеить их на жопу, блядь. Жопа с усами. Ни у кого такого нет, а у меня будет, блядь, понимаешь? Вот что значит творческий человек. Жопа с усами, блядь. Понимаешь, блядь? Видишь? Ни у кого такого нету. Вот у меня будет, блядь. Я не хочу ходить как все, блядь, понимаешь? Я другой человек, блядь. Я не как все, нахуй. И здорово, нахуй, блядь. Ща вам жопа будет, блядь. Такая речь, Пурыч, блядь.
Monsieur Book, are the train crew locked in their quarters?
Yes, they are.
Then the stage is set for the final act. Ladies and gentlemen, I have gathered you together to hear my reconstruction of the murder of Samuel Edward Ratchet, also known as Cassetti. There is not one, but two possible solutions of the crime. I shall put them both before you. And I shall ask Monsieur Bouc and Dr. Constantine here to judge which solution is the correct one.
2 solutions?
Mr. Poirot, I am hardly qualified.
Nevertheless, your assistance is required.
Опа, бля, все нервные, нахуй.
You all know the facts of the case. Ratchet was found stabbed to death this morning. He was last known to be alive at 12:37 a.m. last night, when he spoke to the wagon-lit conductor through the door. His watch was found to be badly dented, and it had stopped at 1:15. Dr. Constantine, who examined the body, puts the time of death as having occurred between midnight and 2 in the morning. At half an hour after midnight, as you all know, the train ran into a snowdrift. After that time, it was impossible for anyone to leave the train. So, here is my first theory. The enemy, as Ratchet expected, joined the train at Vinkovsky by the door left open by Captain Arbuthnot and Monsieur McQueen, who had just descended to the platform. He was equipped with a wagon-lit jacket, which he wore over his ordinary clothes, and a pass key which enabled him to gain access to Ratchet's compartment in spite of the doors being locked. Ratchet was under the influence of a sleeping draught. This man stabbed him with great ferocity, 12 wounds in all. He left the compartment through the communicating door to Madame Hubbard's compartment.
Yes, that's so. Scared me half out of my wits.
The murderer thrust the dagger he had used into Mrs. Hubbard's handbag in passing. Without knowing it, he lost a button of his uniform. Then he slipped out of the compartment and along the corridor. He put the uniform jacket into Detective Locke's suitcase to cast suspicion on her. And a few minutes later, dressed in his ordinary clothes, he left the train just before it started off again, using the same means for egress, the door near the dining car. That is the first hypothesis. But there's a second. For that, we must examine the motive for the crime. Why was Ratchet killed?
Месть, блядь.
The motive is clear. Revenge, of course. Nothing was stolen. And we know that Ratchet had made many enemies. This was a premeditated crime, meticulously planned.
Бля, когда он был придуман? Я ебу, когда.
Since the kidnapping and death of little Daisy Armstrong, which traumatized many people close to the family. Even when the police concluded that it was Suzanne Moreau, questions remained. Detective Locke continued her investigation, as did others. They became convinced the truth lay elsewhere. We now know who the real murderer of Daisy is.
Ёб твою мать. А я ебу кто, блядь. Нихуя Ratchet, блядь.
It is clear now that Daisy's killer was Ratchet, also known as Cassetti and Michael Clark and how many other names. But of course, many of you have known this for a long time. It is obvious that the 12 stab wounds are not a random number. Dr. Constantine's analysis revealed that some stab wounds appeared to have been caused by a right-handed attacker. Others indicated the knife wielder was
Вот эта бабка, блядь, жопа! Сухая рожа, блядь, как мне, нахуй.
fatal. yet others were not much more than mere scratches. What can explain these discrepancies? This leads us to an obvious conclusion. They are symbolic.
Бля, что такое? Суд, иди нахуй. Возраст Дейзи, блядь.
Come now, Poirot. Daisy was 3 years old.
Бля, ой, ёпту, забыл, нахуй. 3 года ей было, я забыл, извиняюсь, блядь.
12 stabs. 12! The same number as a trial jury in the United States. But not just a jury of 12 members condemning him to death, but 12 executioners as well. This self-appointed jury had meticulously planned for everything except
Snow.
snow. The avalanche that stopped us, as well as the presence of not one but 2 detectives on the train. They had to improvise, to hastily add clues and false leads.
Бля, что за хуйня, бля? Красное кимоно. Разбитые часы, блядь. Да тут все, блядь.
This woman in a red kimono does not exist. I don't know which of the passengers it was. It does not really matter. It was just a performance, a charade to introduce another possible culprit to muddy the waters. The time on Ratchet's broken watch was deliberately set to conceal the true time of the crime. The vial of vaping liquid incriminated Captain Arbuthnot. However, he had a solid alibi confirmed by Monsieur McQueen. Impossible then to suspect him. The conductor's jacket, found in Detective Locke's suitcase, was put there only to cast suspicion upon her. All these false leads were intended for me. But I am Poirot. I understood the truth. We have a train full of suspects. It's time to identify who the real culprits are. Let's start with Detective Locke.
Чего? Да ты чё, ебанулся, что? Конечно, нет, блядь.
Planting the conductor's jacket in her suitcase was an attempt to implicate Detective Locke, but she couldn't fake her drugged condition. Dr. Constantine can testify that the drugged tea incapacitated her for hours, and she had 2 relapses. Let us move on to Monsieur McQueen. When I told him about Cassetti, he looked very surprised that I managed to make the connection between him and the Armstrong case. He told me, "But I thought we had..." I think he meant...
Бля.
You thought you didn't leave any real clues linking the murder to the Armstrong kidnapping. Moreover, you insisted that Ratchet did not speak French when you knew I had heard a voice calling out in French that was supposed to be Ratchet.
Да нет, наверное, блядь.
I do not think that's the right answer.
Блядь. Ты ебанул его, шо ли, блядь? Хуя себе, блядь. Что доказывает причастность? Нихуя ты уёбок, блядь. Работа, ну, блядь. Разворная фотография. Его папаня, блядь.
You took some pleasure in leaving me false clues, I think. It was quite annoying. But you told me yourself that your father was the district attorney who handled the Armstrong case.
The case haunted my father. At first, he believed Suzanne Moreau had helped her boyfriend, Noah, to kidnap Daisy, even though there were questions that went unanswered, and a young policewoman refused to let it go, continuing to find discrepancies, but never enough to reopen the official investigation.
That policewoman sits there. Her name is Joanna Locke.
Then tell him. Tell him how in the end my father believed you, how he resigned a job that he loved, racked with guilt that he may have let that monster go free. He died young, broken, his faith in justice broken. That's what Ratchet did to him.
Thank you for your honesty, Monsieur McQueen.
Ah,
Your
cool,
father is one more victim of the man who called himself Ratchet. Now, I will turn to Ratchet's valet, Monsieur Masterman.
Блядь. Нихуя, нет, блядь.
No, Poirot.
Бля, и он что ли? Да ёб твою мать, бля! А то ебан плешивый, бля. В носу подбрил, бля. Что доказывает причастность вместо ее? Зубная боль, блядь. Работа, ну работа это работа, блядь. Зубная боль. Что доказывает причастность? А что зуб? Ну болел зуб, блядь. Курва, блядь.
I know that
Блядь,
it hurts excruciatingly, but I don't think the pain would have done.
Ну все понял, родной, понял, блядь.
As to kill Ratchet. Monsieur Foscarelli was a closer target. If Masterman had murder on his mind. Ratchet sensed danger close to him and naturally wanted to stay awake. You gave him sleeping pills without his knowledge. Once he was sound asleep, you could do what you had to do in peace.
Sir, I'll tell you the truth. I was Colonel Armstrong's adjutant in the war, sir, and afterwards, I was his valet in New York. I'm afraid I concealed the fact this morning. It was very wrong of me, sir, but I knew how suspicious it would look.
Is that all you have to say?
That's all, sir.
Now, to leave no suspicious stone unturned, let us move on to Monsieur Book.
What? Me? A suspicious stone?
Бля, я же говорил, что он нахуй виноват, блядь. А хуй его знает. Ну, я думал на него изначально, понимаешь? Он какой-то хитрожопый, понимаешь? Да, блядь. Бля, нихуя, ёб твою мать. Значит, я ошибся, нахуй. Ну, извини, хуйня ебаная, блядь. Что снимает подозрение с Бука, блядь? Он директор? Нет, он нашел для меня место в поезде. Блин, он директор компании спальных вагонов. Ну это тоже, да, блядь. Но это нихуя. Он нашел для меня вот это, наверное.
Book, my friend, of course you are not guilty. You did everything you could to get me on this train. What madness would cause you to ensure, and I speak with all modesty, that the best detective in the world could be present to witness your crime.
But doesn't our friendship count as well?
Most assuredly, but a murderer can wear all sorts of masks, including friendship. Let us consider our ever-efficient wagon-lit conductor, Pierre Michel.
Нихуя нет, блядь. Блять, и он что ли мог? Да ебаный в рот, блядь. Ну давай, блядь. Ну ты же снотворное кадил подсыпал, да.
No, that is his motive. I need real, tangible proof.
А, подмешал точно, блядь, забыл, он же подмешал.
Your admission that you drugged Detective Locke immediately incriminates you, but the murder could not have been possible without your very capable assistance. Your knowledge of train procedures made the murder possible, and your position in the corridor of the train allowed you to be the perfect alibi for several passengers. And your motive? Suzanne Moreau, Daisy Armstrong's poor nanny, who was wrongly accused and committed suicide, was your daughter.
C'est un foiré. He got what he deserved. My poor daughter has finally been avenged. My Suzanne. My child.
Let's move on now to Monsieur Hardman, one of 3 detectives on this train.
Бля, ну он тоже мог ударить. Ну детектив он не будет убивать, не будет. Да, блять, будет что ли? Да ёбаный в рот, я хотел сказать да, блять. Ну, блять, это же, сука, это игра, блять. На, соси, уебан, блять. Чего?
He lied about his profession, but he
Да
was
все понял я,
hired by
блядь.
Ratchet. Why would he kill the man he was hired to protect?
На, блядь.
Monsieur Hardman, I think you are a real detective, but you were never hired by Ratchet. Your alibi was that you were watching the corridor to protect Ratchet, which, of course, you never did. You protected Pierre Michel. However, we just saw that his alibi doesn't hold up, so neither does yours.
I don't know about the conductor.
Being Suzanne's fiancé, you had a substantial motive to punish Ratchet. You used your detective skills, just as Detective Locke did, to hunt him down and finally avenge the death of your beloved.
That's right, Mr. Poirot. I do have some detective skills.
I never doubted it. Now, Fraulein Schmidt, the lady's maid with the soul of a cook.
Она посыпала снотворное, блядь. Так, она подмешала... Чего? А, она помощница. Вот это хуйня.
Fraulein Schmidt, you told me of your remorse for drugging Detective Locke. I believe you are sincere. However, as the cook of the Armstrong family, you experienced the drama from within. The death of Daisy, then Sonia Armstrong, who died in childbirth, and finally, Suzanne and John Armstrong.
So much misfortune in that poor family. The death of this criminal is only justice.
Let us move on to Countess Andreni. I was impressed by the earnestness of her husband when he swore to me solemnly on his honor that his wife never left her compartment that night. Should I believe it?
Бля. Что-то какой-то несу. Бля, я не виноват. Бля. Она похожа на певицу Сандру.
Even if it seems
Блять,
logical, it's more
нихуя, ёбаный в рот,
complicated than
блядь.
that. I believe Countess Andreni.
А, она с мужем была, блять, не могла.
On the contrary, this fact gives her a motive for murder. On the contrary,
Да подожди ты
this
нахуй,
fact-
иди, блять. На.
Countess Andreni, being Sonia Armstrong's sister, you had every reason in the world to want to avenge her. But you were incapable of stabbing someone, even after what he had done to you and your family. The night of the crime, you simply took a sleeping pill. I appreciate the irony that nearby, Detective Locke was also in a drugged sleep. When you awoke, you thought the nightmare was over.
Rudolph?
Hush, my love. Hush.
Excellent transition. I was coming to you, Count Andreni.
Да нихуя он не мог, блядь.
No.
Блядь, мог. Да за не пошли вы нахуй, блядь! Уёбище, блядь! На, соси, блядь! Иди нахуй, вот эту, блядь.
12 people, a jury. This was very important to all of you. If Countess Andreni did not stab Ratchet, someone had to take her place. And you, Count, the beloved husband. I've seen how fiercely you love and protect your wife.
Enough!
Хватит, блядь!
Do anything for Helena. Anything. Even that.
Yes, even that. Let's move on to Monsieur Foscarelli.
Блядь, ёб твою мать. Я его... Да нет, нахуй. Ты чё, блядь? Пиздец, блядь. И это уёбище могло ударить. Ну на, блядь. Блядь, они специально такую рожу делают. Блядь.
You think he's a mafioso, Paul? This isn't
Ну все понял, блядь. Похуй на него. Да съебись ты, блядь.
Detective Locke found out that you were the Armstrong chauffeur, and that you planned to travel on the same train at the same time as Ratchet. That is what made her decide to obtain a ticket as well. Unfortunately, she could not prevent the murder. Have you lost your tongue, Mr. Foscarelli?
Oh, Daisy. She was the delight of the house. Tonio, she called me. And she would sit in the car and pretend to drive me.
And you, Mademoiselle Olson, a champion for the immigrants, a worthy calling.
Блядь, хуй его знает, могла, блядь, не могла. Ну нет, блядь.
I do not think that's the right answer.
Сука. На, могла, блядь.
Mademoiselle Olson, you supported Madame Hubbard's story about her connecting door latch, a story that I later demonstrated to be impossible. So, you deliberately lied to me, and you also lied about Mademoiselle Debenham's whereabouts.
Enough! I can't take this anymore. I know what you want from me, Mr. Poirot.
Она не говорит, она поет.
When I patched a scrape or took her temperature, that was my job. But she was so much more to me. She was a shining light in an ever-darkening world. I've tried to honor her by caring for children who have lost everything.
Thank you, Mademoiselle Olson. You too shed light on your part in this mystery.
Что там, блядь? А я ебу, кем она была. Няня, нихуя.
You were Daisy Armstrong's nurse. I will ask you no more questions. It is enough that you have admitted what I know to be the truth, and I understand. Let's move on. Dr. Constantine.
You suspect me? I know none of these people. I didn't know Ratchet either, and I've taken a solemn oath to help people, not murder them.
Блядь, ну да, ну, блядь, нет. Пускай нет, блядь. Что снимает?
You are one of the few people in this room not to have any connection with the Armstrong case. Moreover, your alibi is confirmed by Monsieur Bouc, whom I would trust with my life.
That is very kindly said, my friend.
We now come to Mademoiselle Debenham,
Рожа, бля!
whose relationship was not in doubt from the moment I inspected your room at the hotel.
You have a bloody nerve.
I do.
We're getting married.
Congratulations. But I would rather talk about your relationship to John Armstrong.
Что такое хуйня, блядь? Что такое, блядь? Что связывает капитана работал с Джоном Армстронгом, блядь, повар, какой-то повар, блядь. Бля, брат, нет, ты не, блядь, ну, пускай будешь, ну, блядь, брат. А это что такое, любовник? Что это такое нет? Это что тут делать-то, блядь? Ты не повар, блядь.
Think, Poirot, that is not a good answer.
Бля. 8 вариантов, что ли? Ну, солдаты, блядь. Солдаты, блядь!
That was easy. Captain Arbuthnot, you served in the army with John Armstrong. What I don't understand is why a man your age is still a captain. One might expect you to be a colonel as well.
Ever fought in a war, Poirot?
It was war that first brought me to England.
Then you know what it's like. There's a shattering sound, and death, and mistakes, acting on intelligence that proved to be wrong. I sent a patrol to their death. Good men, brave men, wasted. John testified on my behalf at a court-martial. I'm not a colonel. I don't deserve to be, you bloody fool. But I'm also not in prison. John remained my best friend until... There, you have my story. Understand now?
Archie, calm down, please.
You're right, Mary. What you see in me, I don't understand.
Oh, Archie, I see in you what John saw.
Miss Debenham, I'm sorry.
My turn, is it?
I'm afraid so. And you have caused me quite a puzzlement. Your connection with the Armstrong family was not obvious. Then I remembered the job you currently hold.
Что связывает мисс Дебенхэм с семьей Армстронгом? Бля, я не помню. Сестра, медсестра, нихуя. Нихуя. Бля, учительница, что ли?
That's the right answer. You were the teacher of... No, she was the teacher of Countess Andrény.
Бля, ёб твою мать.
You were the teacher of Helena Andrény, whose maiden name was Helena Goldenberg before she married Count Andrény.
Yes, absolutely. Why lie to you? She was an excellent student.
Да я уже запутался, блядь. Ну мог, блядь, ну на. Нет, нихуя не мог, блядь.
No, Poirot. Unlike the train, you are on the wrong track.
Wrong, Хенги, он мог, блядь. Он раненый.
You had one of the strongest alibis, thanks to Mr. McQueen. But his testimony melted like a snowflake. There went your alibi. Poof! Unless you have another one. As for you, Mademoiselle Debenham.
Бля. Да нихуя, блядь.
I do not think that's the right answer.
Да пошли вы нахуй, блядь, на. Ебашь, блядь. Манда ебаная, блядь. Что доказывает причастность. Хорошо.
Mademoiselle Olsen was the only one who could confirm your alibi. I think you know where you stand.
Very good, Mr. Poirot. Are you satisfied?
I will be soon. Now I must turn to Sonia Armstrong's godmother, Princess Dragomirov.
Графиня, бля! Могла, бля. Она левша, бля.
Princess Dragomirov, you weren't on my list of suspects at the start, given your social position.
I left my social position in a cold country.
Do you object to being addressed as Princess?
I deny people the opportunity. It makes a good story to tell their friends. It also guarantees a good table in the best restaurants.
Princess, there is also, forgive me, your extreme physical fragility.
It does not stop me when I must be strong.
Indeed. Of more importance, though, is the fact that you're the only left-handed person on the train. And the single blow to ratchet from a left-handed person was very, forgive me, weak. Finally, I'm afraid I know the alibi that you shared with Fraulein Schmidt is false.
You have been very thorough, sir. I hope you will permit me to say we are much alike.
I am honored. Now it is time to end with Mrs. Hubbard, or should I say...
Не, она не могла, блядь, потому что у нее нож нашли, блядь.
Think, Poirot, that is not a good answer.
Чего? А, бля, я думал, там будет да или нет, я даже не посмотрел, потому что я знаю, что там да, там нет, блядь.
Linda Arden. If Princess Dragomirov hadn't told me about her relationship with this famous actress, I might not have made the connection. But you are a great actress, madame. Your performance as a flighty, self-involved woman was superb. I never would have guessed something entirely different. As for what ties you to the Armstrong family, it is obvious.
Что это за поебень, блядь? Я не помню, блядь. Ты мать Дейзи? Ты что, ебанулась, что ли, блядь? Крестная Дейзи, блядь. По-моему, нет. Крестная миссис. Бля, я не помню, кто она, блядь. Что-то так вариантов-то много, блядь. Мне два варианта надо, и все. Да и нет. Ну, бля.
I must admit I'm not right this time.
Бля, я не помню. Кто она, не помню. Мать Дейзи. Ты же не мать Дейзи, ты старая, блядь. Мать Дейзи умерла, нахуй. Крестная, ты слишком старая для нее. Может, вот это, блядь.
Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer.
Может, тетя, блядь.
No.
Да ебать тебе в рот, блядь. Кто-то. Ты не няня. Ну, нет, там. Ну, может, это, блядь. Мать Сони, нахуй.
That was easy. Mrs. Hubbard, you are the mother of Sonia Armstrong and Mrs. Andreni.
Ну на, блядь, блядь. Что доказывает причастность? Близость. Крэтчету, блядь. Косметичка, во.
Madame Hubbard, you really are a remarkable actress. You put so much effort into your character and into staging the murder. I saw it as a perfect mosaic, each person playing his or her allotted part. So carefully arranged that if suspicion should fall on any one person, the evidence of one or more of the others would clear the accused person and confuse the issue. Everything was meticulously planned. But you hadn't expected that Detective Locke and I would be on this train, and the avalanche would block it on the night of the murder. You had to improvise. But again, improvisation would be another of your skills as an actress. So you came up with the story that the latch on the door that communicated with Ratchet's compartment was hidden by the handbag.
I always fancied myself in comedy parts. That slip about the sponge bag was silly. Shows you should always rehearse properly. You know all about it, Mr. Poirot. You're a very wonderful man. But even you can't quite imagine what it was like. That awful day.
Ну все, блядь, мне надо уйти нахуй.
With grief. So were the servants. We decided then and there that the sentence of death that Ratchet had escaped had got to be carried out. There were 12 of us, or rather 11. Suzanne's father was over in France, of course. First we thought we'd draw lots as to who should do it, but in the end we decided on this way. It was the driver, Antonio, who suggested it. Mary worked out all the details later with Hector McQueen. It took a long time to perfect our plan. We first had to track Ratchet down. Hardman managed that in the end. Then we had to try and get Edward and Hector into his employment. Well, we managed that. Then we had a consultation with Suzanne's father. Captain Arbuthnot was very keen on having 12 of us. He seemed to think it made it more orderly. He didn't like the stabbing idea much. But he agreed that it did solve most of our difficulties. Well, Suzanne's father was willing. Suzanne had been his only child. We knew from Hector that Ratchet would be coming back from the east, sooner or later, by the Orient Express. With Pierre Michel actually working on that train, the chance was too good to be missed. My daughter's husband had to know, of course, and he insisted on coming on the train with her. Hector wrangled it so that Ratchet selected the right day for traveling when Michel would be on duty. And then, at the last minute, you came. For the rest of the story, you worked out everything, Mr. Poirot. You were right about all of us. What are you going to do about it? If it must all come out, can't you lay the blame upon me, and me only? I would have stabbed that man 12 times willingly. It wasn't only that he was
Бля, не успеваю читать, пиздец, даже в голове нахуй.
And that of the other child, who might have been alive and happy now. It was more than that. There had been other children kidnapped before Daisy, and there might be others in the future. Society had condemned him. We were only carrying out the sentence, but it's unnecessary to bring all these others into it, all these good, faithful souls.
Ну что, блядь, от него приговор зависит, что ли?
You are a director of the company, Monsieur Bouc. What do you say?
Рэчет Дейзи убил.
My opinion, Poirot. The first theory you put forward was the correct one. Decidedly so. I suggest that is the solution we offer to the police. You agree, Doctor?
Certainly, I agree. As regards the medical evidence, I think that I made one or two fantastic suggestions.
Then, having placed my solution before you, I have the honor to retire from the case.
Чё, блядь? Пока спим, что ли, блядь? Распростите. Бля, кого распростите-то нахуй? Ну, пока еще не... Ты чё, ебанулся? А почему конец-то, блядь? Почему конец, блядь?
I'm sorry to wake you up in the middle of the night, Poirot, but it couldn't wait. There was a detail that bothered me in my preliminary autopsy of Ratchet's body. I went back to examine the body and I discovered a wound covered by another. The blow I hadn't seen was delivered by a thinner, sharper blade. So there were not 12, but 13 stab wounds.
12 stabs for 12 jurors. It doesn't work with 13 wounds. The symmetry is destroyed.
It can't be one of the culprits who stabbed him twice?
Doctor, a different knife was used. There is only one explanation. Somehow, some way, there is a 13th murderer on this train. We must tell Book. The case is not solved.
Блядь, это ебануться, что ли, блядь? Подождите. Конец или не конец? Вы забивали меня, бля! О, поехали нахуй. Поехали, бля. Бля, еще не все нахуй. Хотел бы я в таком поезде поехать, бля. Заебись.
Ah, Book. I see we are moving at last.
Yes. The way was finally cleared while we slept. If all goes well, we will arrive in Venice this evening. The train will be there for several hours for refueling and reprovisioning. What do we do with the 13th murderer? Do you have a lead?
I thought about it. There is one clue that was left aside in my investigation. The diary I found in Ratchet's safe mentioned an appointment in Venice. Someone with the initials A.W. He will never keep the appointment. But there should be enough time. I must try to keep that appointment for him.
Ёб твою мать, да что за хуйня, блядь? Что такое? Что такое, блядь? Бля, ёб твою мать. Каир, я ебу, блядь, я еще не понял. Бля, Не парикмахерская, блядь, это точно. Нет, наверное, вот здесь, блядь. Я думаю, что днем не подозрительно будет. Город, блядь. Венеция, Стамбул. Стамбул, никуя, Каир, не давай Венецию, блядь. День. А я ебу, блядь, 16. Ну, 17 пускай будет, блядь.
This is wrong. But I'm never far from the truth. I must admit I'm not right this time. No.
Хорошо, значит, не Венеция, блядь. Ну, Каир пускай будет, кто знает.
I do not think that's the writer. Think, Poirot. That is not a good... This is wrong. But I'm never far from the truth. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. This is wrong.
Бля, я не знаю, где чего, бля.
I must admit I'm not right this time.
О, бля, правильно. Правильно. Ночь, блядь. А, ночью. Значит, преступники встречаются ночью. А я думал, чтобы они встретились днем, как бы, ну, не привлекать внимания. Людно, много народу. С утра тоже нормально. Все, здесь я закончу, бля, зашибись. Бля, еще не конец. Там же титры пошли, блядь. Они же пошли, бля. Здесь и закончу, так что в следующей серии продолжу. Всем пока.
Раньше здесь был мат, я бухал и жрал салат.